Hello and welcome to my video where I'm going to show you how to make a classic bow out of ribbon. In order to follow along, you're going to need some double-sided ribbon, a needle and thread, some scissors and some glue. I'm personally using some 25mm wide satin ribbon, and for the needle I'm using a regular hand sewing needle. Just make sure the needle is sharp. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is cut a length of ribbon. I cut mine 12 inches long. You then need to prepare your needle and thread by cutting a length of thread about 10 inches long, tying a knot in the end, and then feeding the other end through the needle. And then just leave that to the side. Then wrap the ribbon around your hand like this, so that there's a horizontal bar of ribbon behind your hand and the two tails of ribbon cross in front of your hand. The idea here is just to make a generally symmetrical shape, so that you roughly have the same amount of ribbon on each side of your hand. Then remove the ribbon from your hand, trying to keep it in the same shape. Then just carry on trying to make this shape as symmetrical as you possibly can. I like to try and line up the point where the ribbon tails cross with the centre of that horizontal bar. You can check the shape from the front and from the back, but I like to do the next step with the horizontal bar of ribbon towards me. Once you're happy with the shape, keep it still and use your needle and thread to go through both layers where those ribbon tails cross. You then need to do a running stitch all the way up the middle of this ribbon shape. So take your needle in and out of the ribbon, going through all layers, all of the way up the centre of this shape. Try and make fairly small stitches. As you can see, I'm using a contrasting thread, but you could use a matching thread instead. To be honest, we'll be covering it over anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Once you get to the top, you can then pull on the thread and that will bunch up the ribbon, like so. You then need to wrap this thread several times around the centre of the bow just to hold it in place. Then at the back of the bow, take the needle into and out of the ribbon. Pull on the thread until there's just a small loop remaining. Take the needle through this loop twice and tighten, and that secures the end of the thread. You can then cut off the excess thread. Next, cut a short length of ribbon that is just long enough to wrap around the centre of the bow. You then need to fold in the patterned edges or the selvages of this short length of ribbon and glue them in place. You can use hot glue for this or any glue that will be suitable to use with ribbon. I would just recommend using a glue that dries quickly. You then need to glue this section to the front of the bow and wrap the ends around to the back. Then leave this to dry. Once this is dry, your bow should look like this. The last step is to cut the ribbon tails to make it nice and neat. So first, line up those ribbon tails. I line up the inside edges with each other and the outside edges with each other. And I cut them in a diagonal line. And that gives me this effect. Ideally, you want the ends of the ribbon to look the same. In order to stop the ribbon tails from fraying in the future, you can then take a lighter and just lick the flame along those cut edges. This slightly melts the edges and just prevents fraying. Obviously, just be careful when you do this. And that's it, that's how you make a classic ribbon bow. I really hope you found this tutorial useful, and thank you very much for watching.